Let's go. Alright, bruh. The time is here. I'm making another tutorial because hella people asked me to do it. I've been putting it off for like a year now. And yeah, it's about time. So I'm gonna just make a Drakeo the Ruler type beat, Shoreline Mafia, Blue Bucks Clan, whatever West Coast artist. It's just a West Coast beat. Hopefully you like it. Maybe you learned something. Like the video, subscribe, comment, all the usual shit so that more people can see my videos. Alright, so usually I start out beats with like chords or like a pad or something like that, but for whatever reason I started with a bell on this. So here's what that sounds like without the effects, just straight out of Analog Lab. Pretty boring without the effects, but the first thing I did was an EQ, which, you know, it's nothing crazy, it's an EQ. And then I added this gross beat, which I think is a Nick Mira bank. Yeah, it should be a Nick Mira bank. It's this. So it kind of just gives it that little slide, just so it's not so like, just, you know, plucky, I guess. And then the next thing I added was a delay, super massive. It's pretty subtle. It kind of just gives it a little more movement, if that makes any sense. Cause the mix is turned down pretty low, so it's more of like something you feel more than you really hear. And then just a reverb to make it bigger, and then wider, which I think is a free plugin if you want to get it. It's just you crank it up and down and it just makes things more stereo. So with all the effects, this is what it sounds like. Way better. Alright, so the next thing I added was just some really simple chords. So again, it's cool, but it's pretty boring without any effects or anything on it. So the first thing I did was, again, an EQ. Just to take out a lot of like the low end. Everything else I left in. It's just to get the low end out of the way for when I add like an 808 or whatever. And then I added a gross beat, which, let me see. Also probably a Nick Mira bank. And it's this preset. So here's what it sounds like. So, you know, it kind of just gives it a little more like texture. I think that's the right word. Just to make it more interesting. And then retro color, everybody's favorite. I used this preset, and I don't think I changed anything. I just flipped through presets, and this one sounded cool to me, so I kept it. And then wider, just to make it bigger. So with the ARP and the chords, here's what it sounds like together. Right? Pretty cool. So the next thing I added was this vocal chop. It's arcade, pretty sure. Yeah, it's arcade if you wanna. Here's the exact bank, everything. And I just had a hit on the one of the 4 bars. So again, an EQ. Just to kind of thin it out a little and take out any low end, which there wasn't any, but it's kind of just habit. And then a phaser, just to give it more movement and to get it out of like the middle, because I like to keep the middle for my drums. So all my melodies, I tend to make them really wide, so they're kind of out of the way. And then reverb. So here's what that sounds like now. So the next thing I added was just this little flute. Super simple. But you know, kind of boring. So again, add an EQ just to cut out some low end. Alright, so it's still pretty dry, so of course, reverb. the next thing I added was this Rhodes piano. It's from Lounge Lizard. I like to do this on a lot of beats, and I kind of just tuck it a little bit more in the background. So here's what that sounds like. So, you know, a lot of people recognize that as like a really West Coast thing. So, you know, I like to throw it in beats whenever I can. So the effects, again, it's just an EQ and a reverb. I'm not even gonna open it, just here's what it sounds like after. So next thing I did was I added some piano chords. These are the same chords that the pad is in, just a couple notes moved up and down an octave, just different voicings to make it fill up more space. So here's what that sounds like. And for the effects, surprise, EQ, and reverb. All right, yeah, so I just cut the low end out. I left everything else alone. So here's what it sounds like after the effects. And then the last melody sound that I added was just these really simple strings that kind of come in at certain sections. So here's what that sounds like. So it's super subtle. It's kind of just there to fill up a little bit of the higher frequencies, since a lot of the sounds in this besides the bell are kind of, you know, not. So the only thing I added to this was just a phaser, and I turned the mix down a little bit just to give it some more movement and get it out of the way of the drums. So here's what that sounds like. So here's what everything sounds like together before the drums. Alright, so as far as the drums go, I really didn't do anything special at all for this. The melody kind of really carried this one, but here you go. Here's what the drums sound like. So for the hi-hats, it was just a simple two-step pattern, eighth notes. I guess the only special thing I really did was just these little triplet notes here and there, but that's pretty regular, honestly. For the 808s, these are also pretty simple. I guess the only cool thing I really did was this little, I guess you could call it an 808 roll. That's pretty cool. I like doing that when I can. But other than that, pretty generic 808 pattern. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in this beat. I try to do something different this time where I make the beat first and just make sure it's really good, and then I kind of went back and broke down the steps instead of kind of just sitting there in silence and just like clicking notes in and making you watch for like 20 minutes. So hopefully you like that better. Hopefully it was a better learning experience for everybody. And yeah, man, like the video, subscribe, comment, all the same shit I said in the intro. But I gotta say it again, cause you know, it's YouTube. I guess that's part of the program, right? But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm gonna just play you the full beat now. Later.